Hari Om. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranada Kleshnashaya Govindaya Namo. The fundamental scriptures of our Sanatana Dharma, often we equate our Samskriti, the great Samskriti, we call as Hinduism. So, and obviously the question, what is our fundamental scripture? What is this fundamental scripture of Hinduism? So the fundamental scripture of Sanatana Dharma, we can say, is Vedas. Veda Adhisthana. The core text, 4 Vedas. And those 4 texts are fundamental as well as authoritative. And Vedas, we call it as Shruti Prasthana, right? Which is heard, which is the revelations of our rishis. And 4 Vedas, we all know: Rig Vedam, Yajurvedam, Samavedam, Atharvavedam. Rig is all about the hymns, the praises to various deities. Then the Yajurvedam stresses more on the rituals and sacrifices. Samaveda, as you all know, it's the melodies. It is the melodies and chants. And Atharvam, again, the prayers and philosophical hymns. And each Vedas, we all know that these 4 parts of Vedas, right? The Samhita, Brahmanam, Aranyagam and Upanishad. Samhita, again, hymns. Brahmanam is again about the rituals. And Aranyagam, if you see, Aranyagam is all about the meditative and the symbolic aspects behind the rituals. And Upanishad is the Jnana. Upanishad is the philosophical teaching. Philosophical teaching about what? Philosophical teaching about the self and the Brahman. And Upanishad, when we say Upanishad, is the philosophical core of Vedas. We can say Upanishad is the Vedanta. So I'm bringing this topic here because Bhagavad Gita as a Shastram, Sarva Vedanta Sara Sangraha Bhudam Gita Shastram. So this is the crux of the Vedanta. Yoga Shastram, correct? The Yoga Shastram. And this is the Vedanta. This is the philosophical core of our Vedas. That is coming in 700 plus verses as Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And the scriptures, apart from the Vedas, they are the primary text, they are the fundamental text, they are the authoritative text. Apart from the scriptures, apart from these Vedas, we do have the secondary text. It doesn't mean that it is a second level or something like that, because it's the same content, the same core values are there in the script, in the secondary text also. So they are, you all know again, Idihasas, the Ramayana, Mahabharata. And Bhagavad Gita is again a part of the Mahabharata. It is included in the Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, correct? Idihasam. Then we have the Puranas. There are many Puranas. Vishnu Puranam, Shiva Puranam. Bhagavata Puranam, Srimad Bhagavatam. Right. So, Idihasa Puranam. And again, Idihasa Puranam ja Panjamo Veda Uchyade. In one way, Idihasa Puranams are also combined as a part of the Veda. In one context, Vedavyasa Maharshi says, Idihasas and Puranas are also or can be considered as the fifth Veda, right? Idihasa Puranam ja Panjamo Veda Uchyade. And Dharma Shastrams. So Idihasam, Puranam, Dharma Shastram. Dharma Shastram is all about the codes of conduct, how one should live a moral life. See, for example, Manusmriti and the relevant text towards the Dharma Shastra. Why I am saying is basically we all should know that the fundamental books, the Shruti, Smriti, Prasthanam, both, and the six darshanas, the philosophical systems that we follow, right? That accepts when I say this Shad Darshanam, the sixth darshanam, the philosophical systems that accept the authority of the Vedas, right? And these darshanas, we can say it's a combination of spirituality and metaphysics, right? What are those six darshanam? The first darshanam is the Nyaya, correct? Nyaya darshanam, Nyaya, Gautama Maharshi. The logic and the scientific word is epistemology, the theory of knowledge, logic and theory of knowledge. So there we have the Nyaya Sutras. And what the Nyaya Sutram says, what is the Nyaya Prasthana all about? Talking about how to gain valid knowledge and liberation in life. Then we have the second one, Vaisheshika Kanada Muni, correct? The metaphysics and the atomism is also included there. Vaisheshika Sutras are there. Then comes the third one, the Sankhya, Kapila Maharshi, Kapila Muni, correct? So where Sankhya stresses about the Purusha and the Prakriti. Purusha meaning the higher truth, the consciousness, and Prakriti is the matter. What is not a part of Purusha is Prakriti. Correct? And Sankhya stresses about what? The liberation through the discriminative understanding of the Purushan versus Prakriti. So the journey is about Prakriti to Purusha. That is what Sankhya stresses upon, right? So what we need in the Sankhya is basically the Purusha and the Prakriti, the concepts. I'm not saying what we need, it's these concepts, underlying concepts. The Purusha as the consciousness, as the cause of everything. And Prakriti is basically the effect of that cause, out of which these things are derived, is Prakriti. Then comes the Yoga. Yoga is by the Patanjali Maharshi. That is stressing more about the discipline and the meditative practices needed for this the upliftment of oneself. The discipline and meditation for the spiritual liberation is the Yoga. And we have the Yoga Sutra. And Yoga is basically building upon the Sankhya. So Sankhya has the consciousness, the Purusha and Prakriti, and Yoga stresses upon the Yoga Shastram stresses upon the refinement that one has to need in the mind, and the journey is towards what? Journey is towards the Purusha. So the the God as the guide here in the yoga. Then we have the Purva Mimamsa, that is basically Jaimini Maharshi's contribution, where it stresses upon the rituals and the dharmic way of living life, where Vedic rituals need to be a part and parcel of one's life for liberation. Correct. And the sixth one is the Vedanta. We call it as Uttara Mimamsa, the Jnanam made by the Vedavyasa Maharshi, the philosophy of Upanishads, and the Brahma Sutram as the guiding scripture, guiding text. So what is Vedanta all about? Expose the nature of ultimate reality, the Brahman. Right? Ultimate reality of Brahman and our own self, the Atman, and the essential oneness of both. And Vedanta includes the, what is the right word? Sub-schools also, for example, Advaitam, Dvaidam, and the Vishishtadvaidam. Right? So what I am trying to say is basically, irrespective of all these schools, these Shaddarshanam, every philosophy confers that Vedas as the Pramanika Grantha, as the Adhisthana Grantha, as the fundamental and authoritative text. So today we are getting into the Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So this is Sankhya is one of the oldest darshanams. Right? So here Sankhya meaning the perfect knowledge. Please listen carefully. The perfect knowledge, the right knowledge that one has to inculcate in life. So here the seer and seen, the one who is seeing as well as the scenes that one is seeing, or in from the true Sankhya's perspective, Purushan and Prakriti. And now when you say Sankhya Yogam, the union of Purushan and Prakriti, the union of seer and seen. And Advaitam says essentially Purushan and Prakriti are one. Jiva, Atma and the Paramatma are one. So the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is called as Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya is called as the perfect knowledge. The right knowledge one has to inculcate in life. The seer and seen, Purushan and Prakriti, and the essential oneness. So what is Sankhya Yoga? The union of these two, and declares the essential oneness, leading a mind to go from the duality to non-duality. So that is where the result of the second chapter is basically what? The yoga. And if you see all the Bhagavad Gita chapters, have you seen, all ends with Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. Right? This is Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Akshara Brahma Yogo Nama Ashtamodhyaya. Every chapter ends with the Srimad Bhagavad Gita's appreciation towards enabling one to have the Brahma Vidya and the Yoga Shastra. In the form of what? Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvadam. The dialogues happening between Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna. That is the real beauty of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Very, very concise scripture that comprises of the entire Vedantic knowledge. And otherwise, again, the yoga, if you see yoga as a darshanam, Patanjali Maharshi in the Sutram or in the Shastram says that yoga chitta vritti nirodha tadadrishta surube avasthanam. What is yoga? Yoga is basically the process of stilling one's mind. To still the patterning of consciousness. Because the reality, the truth beyond and behind the mind can be seen when one stills the mind. Andhakarana Shuddhi and Andhakarana Naishchalya. These are the two important aspects. So the yoga is all about, again, the process of stilling the mind, still the patterning of consciousness. What happens in that process? One will get the concentration. The concentration is developed, and the one who is witnessing the things, for example, the scenes a seer is having, right? The seer ultimately, after stilling the mind, rests in his or her own true nature. So that is where the real Vedantic knowledge is going to get started from Sankhya Yoga. The last chapter, if you see, Arjuna, Vishada Yoga, all about Arjuna's grief, where Arjuna was only talking. It was a kind of a monologue, right? Arjuna was dumping all those concerns to Bhagavan Krishna. Arjuna's Vishadam, Arjuna's grief. Right? So from Arjuna's despondency, now we can see in the beginning of this chapter, Arjuna becoming the true devotee of Bhagavan Krishna to gain that knowledge. The real dispassion, the real courage to surrender to that Lord, called as Prabhuti or Sharanagati. So what is really needed, if you look at this scenario, for us to get the knowledge, what is really needed? In the first chapter, Bhagavan never responded, right? It was only a one-sided conversation. What is really needed for us to grow in life, for us to gain that knowledge, to gain that spiritual knowledge? What is really needed? The Kripa is needed. The Kripa comes when the Jiva surrenders to the higher truth. In fact, that Ishvara is always willing to extend that Kripa. But what is really needed? The real Prabhati or the Sharanagati is needed. You'll appreciate that today when we go through these verses. Let us get started with the second chapter, Sankhya Yoga. Sanjaya uvacha tam tada kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam Vishidandamidam vakyam uvacha madhusudana. Sanjaya uvacha. Sanjaya is now talking. What is Sanjaya talking? Tam tada kripaya vishtam ashru purna kulekshanam vishidandam idam vakyam Uvacha Madhusudan. So here Sanjaya is giving the commentary, the live commentary, correct? So now Sanjaya says, then Sri Krishna spoke these words to Arjuna, whose eyes were burning with tears. Tears of what? Tears of the tears of self-pity. Ashrupurna Akula Ikshana. Okay. So the tears of self-pity and confusion. Basically, you can say the grief-stricken mind. With the grief-stricken mind, the Bhagavan to the Arjuna, where his mind is grief-stricken, Madhusudana spoke these words. Okay, so tam tada kripaya vishtam. So the one kripaya vishtam. So you please notice the term word kripaya, kripa. Kripaya avishtam asru purna akula ikshanam vishidandam idam vakyam uvacha Madhusudana. So please understand that the kripa started flowing there. Without that Ishvara kripa, nothing will happen in life. So Arjuna wants to have peace, correct? And do you think that a yodha, a warrior like Arjuna, can close everything and take a sannyasa? Just tell me. Is his build like that? So that Arjuna is saying that I want to have peace, no war. And if somebody who doesn't know the context of Mahabharata and all those aspects, right? If you just bring just an entry at this point, or slightly in the end of previous chapter, one may say that how come this Arjuna, this Krishna is insisting Arjuna to fight the war when the world is going towards peace? Why Krishna is insisting to give up these values of Arjuna where he is insisting to have peace, no war? So my question is basically, is this virtue of Arjuna strong? The virtue that he is now creating, not to have war, let them defeat, let them kill us, I don't want to fight with them because they are my kin and kith. What will I gain after having the victory? Do you think that the virtue of the compassion and peace and not having war of Arjuna is strong? And is his build as a yodha or as a warrior, is this the right trait that Arjuna should have? I don't want to go into the story of Mahabharata again. So Arjuna is trying to invoke love, non-violence, compassion, etc. with a weak mind. Arjuna is already in the state of a mental breakdown. That's why I said grief-stricken mind. And these virtues that he is trying to say is not at all strong. It is not a part of a yodha like Arjuna. I will try to bring a context here. Gandhiji, when he did the ahvanam for the non-violence, he clearly said non-violence of the brave alone is non-violence, not the non-violence of a coward. And if you see, Gandhiji as a leader proved ahimsa, non-violence, is not a weakness. It is the highest form of courage. And if you see the story of the Dandi Yatra, the march, the salt, to make the salt from the seawater when the tariffs were imposed by the Britishers for a poor Janata, the country at that time, the kind of circumstances we were having. If you see here in Arjuna, with a crowded or a grief stricken mind, with a sick mind, we should say, Arjuna is not able to think what is wrong and what is right. He is not able to clearly understand what is wrong, what is right. His mind has lost the discrimination. Because with that urge, he came to the war field, and after seeing these things, seeing the army, seeing the kin and kith, his mind has lost the discrimination. His mind is not calm, his mind is not steady. You all agree with me? Logically, if you look at. And what Bhagavan Krishna is trying to do? Don't run away from your duty, because this is entitled for you. It is always easy to run. It is always easy to run away from our responsibilities. Let us park Arjuna there. Take our lives. Correct? So if you see the way that we all upbringing our next generation, how many of us do the Sandhya Vandana? How many of us, I forget about Sandhya Vandana and all. In order to make the kid to eat, I remember in the olden days, mother or grandmother or whoever is there will take the kid to the veranda and show the moon, show the sun, show the birds. If you don't eat, I will give to moon. Moon will eat. From there, we are now giving a mobile phone and making our life easy, right? So that, I'm not joking. Last 2 weeks back, I was traveling to Kerala, and I think it was a late night train. The small kid was insisting to have the mobile and crying continuously throughout the night. Forget about eating. This is the kind of an addiction. And don't think that mobile is now just going to all kids, right? We parents are making this kind of a situation. Because our life is easy, right? Just switch on the TV and let this thing run actually. And by showing the reels or shorts, we are feeding. Yeah, I just have this. Okay, one spoon. Have this. That's what we are doing. This is a fast-paced life. You may ask me, do you have time? I also don't have time, but are we doing the right thing? Are we, whether our acts are always justifiable or whether logical or not? This is what we all have to, reflect upon. Drifting away from our duties. Upbringing is also a duty. The right way of upbringing the praja, the children. Don't say it's a digital world and all those things. Digital is basically for some convenience. So face up these kind of problems. Challenges are there. Not only for Arjuna who is there in the war field. Problems are there for all of us. Managing time, managing the values, the value systems, the right way of upbringing things, the right way of taking care of the parents. How many of us say that, yeah, I'm too busy to go and meet my parents, right? This time I managed to. I'm not saying that we are like that, but You can see this everywhere. Very difficult, it's very fast, what is it? The fast paced life. We don't have time to take care of our parents, to take care of our family. So don't run away from the responsibilities. Face up those problems. What is the duty of a soldier like Arjuna? Don't mix up all those things unwantedly, right? What is the duty of a soldier like Arjuna at this particular time? So Arjuna was confused, Arjuna was dejected. And in this condition, it is very difficult to make a judgment. And even if Arjuna is saying that this is right, that is right, and it has no meaning, no value. Because it's a grief-stricken mind, clouded mind, confused mind, unthinking mind. Now the first verse from Bhagavad is coming now, verse number 2 and 3. Let us chant together. Verse 2, verse 3. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kudastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samubastidam Anarya Jushtamaswargyam Agirtikaram Arjuna Klaibyam Masmagama Partha Naidatuyapapadyade Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam Tyaktotishta Parantapa. Sri Bhagavan Uvaja. Lord Krishna now speaks to Arjuna for the first time. So here it is a kind of a shock treatment. So if you see the verse number 2, direct hammering, where Bhagavan follows a very negative approach, and in the third verse again another hammering, very positive approach. So that is where from here the grand dialogue between the Vijnana Sarathi, the Guru, Bhagavan Krishna, and the beloved disciple Arjuna starts. So here, this is a state of clutter or confusion or grief-stricken mind, all those things which we mentioned. So there is a serious problem. This is a disease. So what is the antidote? Antidote is basically the upliftment. By whom? By Madhusudana, the Krishna, the divine companion, healing happening through the divine companion, Madhusudana. And who is Madhusudana? Madhusudana is the one who heals the delusion of the ones, and that delusion is caused by what? The delusion of the ones caused by the ignorance. So as I mentioned, Kripaya Vishtam, the Kripa of Bhagavan getting extended to Arjuna here. And Arjuna surrendering, the disciple surrendering to the Guru, and the transmission of the knowledge is happening from now. And knowledge is about what? The knowledge is all about the true self. Who truly are you, Arjuna? Who are others? What is your Swadharmam? How should you act in this life? With the clear understanding of you or your true self. So here, Kudastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samubastidam Anarya Jushtam Aswargyam Agirtigaram Arjuna is a direct hammering, direct scolding. in such a crisis, from where this despair reached upon you, Arjuna? This is shame upon you. Correct? This is the time of standing upright. When you are supposed to stand upright and fight and defend and adhere to the swadharmam of a warrior, you are now having weakness, and in such a crisis, from where this despair reached upon you, Arjuna? It is not at all the needed quality of an upright man, and it will never add to your fame. Never add, nor it does it lead you to the heights. In this case is a sorgam. It is not at all a quality that is expected from a man like you, and it will never add any fame, or nor it will lead you to the heights. So here, how come this inadvertence and lack of viveka buddhi crept in you, came to you? Here you are supposed to act, but you stand shattered. This is not suitable to you, Arjuna. Shame upon you. So now Bhagavan is now trying to, this was the state of affair of Arjuna is Vishamasthiti. If you see the first chapter, Arjuna's despondency. Right? Vishama. And the antidote is basically what? Bring knowledge, bring clarity. Vishamam to samam. Correct? Vishamam to the normalcy. The issue of inattention and non-alertness to taking to attentive and alert, because he is a Yodha. So here the word kashmalam, when we say this despair, this pettiness. How cheap are you? In another way, how cheap are you and making you to suffer like this? And it is anaryam, which is not at all one. See, Aryan meaning what? Aryan, don't think or don't confuse with Aryan supremacy theory and all. See, here in the context of Aryan, is this place is basically, Aryan is the one who has got Shraddha. The Aryan is the one who has got absolute alertness. So here, anaryam. This kind of a behavior is anaryam, Arjuna. This is a sheer inattention and non-alertness. This is absolutely nonsense. Samupasthidam. When you are supposed to be at the samasthiti, at the state of equanimity and fight with a cool-headed thinking, you are at the state of a distracted mind and a confused mind, and you are trying to give up, which is not fitting an upright man like you. Kashmala avastha. This is what, right? Kashmala avastha meaning, again in another way, when the mind is taking the full control on you, that is where the aswasthata comes, right? So in Malayalam, you all, those who are knowing Malayalam knows, aswasthata. There is a kind of a word which is used. What is the meaning of aswasthata? Meaning something which is unsettled and really bothering or troubling. So here Arjuna's sthiti is also aswasthata. Because the mind is dragging here, there, and confused, shattered, and unthinking, unclear mind. So this is the state of aswasthata, because mind is fully shadowed. So now Bhagavan Krishna is trying to bring the samasthiti. That is where the yogic knowledge started flowing from Bhagavan Krishna. So what is that? The clouded, cluttered mind, where the mind is now the boss, Bhagavan is trying to bring or equipping Arjuna to take control of the mind and act wisely. From aswasthada to sustiti. Sustiti meaning the sthiti where you are not drifted from the core. Now you are controlled by mind. And if you see the Radha Sankalpam, sometime back we discussed this. Arjuna, he himself positioned Bhagavan Krishna where? In front of him. He positioned Bhagavan in front of him as his charioteer, as his intellect. But otherwise, have you seen when you walk, and if the sun is in front of you, where the shadow will be? Always in the back. And if you turn back and look at the shadow, what will happen? You will get confused. So you already have positioned Bhagavan, you already have kept him in front of you, and now you are turning back and looking at your shadow. You are looking at your weakness. You are not seeing the strength. You are not seeing the strength of Vijnana Sarathi Krishna. You are now looking at your back and seeing the weakness there. So what you have to do? You have to turn forward. You have to dissociate from your shadow. You have to dissociate from your weakness. You have to dissociate, or you have to renounce your mind. Because mind is impurity here. Mind is confused here. Right? So again, mind, we can say it's a malam. That is where the kashmalam, the impurity topped up with ego. And you are now trapped in the illusory limitation, Arjuna. That is where this very, abusive words, don't think it's abusive. Anaryam, anaryajishtam, aswargyam, akirtikaram. These all are not apt for you, Arjuna, Asayodha. How come this kind of weakness came or landed on you? This is the kind of hammering. It's slightly in a negative way, but this praharam, this hammering is really needed. Now, in the verse number 3, Klaibyam Masmagama Partha Naidatvayupapadyate Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam Tyaktotishta Parantapa. So again, this term, Klaibyam Masmagama Partha, the term manliness. For a yodha like you, the manliness, that is basically the self-mastery, the courage, and the inner freedom should drive you. You should be driven by self-mastery, courage, and inner freedom. So you should be driven, or you should be in a position to have mastery over your mind. You should also have a steadiness in this kind of adversity. And you should also have fearlessness. Bhagavan, Ramana Maharshi says, to control the mind is the real manliness. So what is manliness here? Manliness is all about the summation of mental strength, the inner stability, and the spiritual courage. So maybe in Sanskrit, Paurusha, this is another word we can now bring here. So Paurusham is all about the free expression of mental strength, the stability, and the spiritual courage. Arjuna now surrenders, correct? When we say surrender, we can say this is the level of compassion. And if you see from a practical world, ladies or female have more compassion, more love, more bhakti. That is more of a feminine characteristic. And if you see action, it's more about masculine, or we can say it's a manliness. Just take it in the right sense. I'm not saying that female cannot do or male only can do. Don't think in those lines. So surrendering and serving both are really needed. So here Klaibyam. So Klaibyam is basically, this is neither a surrender nor a serve mentality. This is a pitiable state. You are neither following those paths, I mean the surrender path or a serving path. If you have to be on the serving path, you need to have mental strength, you need to have inner stability, you need to have a courage. If you are in the surrender path, you need to, admit your weakness and take guidance. Without any of those things, you yourself is creating a pitiable state. The Hridaya Daurbalya. So that is, you yourself is making a state of complacency. And what is happening? You are creating complacency and you are letting you to collapse. So you renounce this, what? The Daurbalyada, the complacency, Arjuna. Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam Tyakta Uttishta Parantava. Hridaya Daurbalyam, the complacency, is a problem. You need to get up. Let me bring the Kadaupanishad mantra. Uttishtada Jagrada Prapyavaran Nibodhada Kshurasya Dhara Nishidaduratyaya Durgam Padastat Kavayo Vadanti. Get up from this complacency, get up from this ignorance, get up from this sleep. Pull up yourself from this fear, pull up yourself from this despondency, pull up yourself from this depression. Get out of this confusion. You come out of this illogical thinking. You know yourself, Arjuna. This is the great knowledge. You wake up. Don't sleep of ignorance. You are a Viryan. So here the term Viryan coming. Correct? So here Parantava and Partha, and this does not befit you, and this is due to your Hridaya Daurbalya. So you are ignoring or you are not knowing your power of self. Wake up, hey Veera Arjuna. Awaken that inner energy. This is the positive hammering. Last verse was basically, how come this weakness crept in you? Now Bhagavan says, you wake up because your inner core is strong. This will not befit you. Bring your best. This is the motivation that is given by Bhagavan Krishna to Arjuna. You are heroic, you are noble, you are great. This behavior doesn't befit you, Arjuna. You evoke the best in you through the Kripa. I am here to help you out. This breakdown or this weakness is not your true potential. I think the modern education system should also use this kind of a maxim, I would say. Basically, the parents as well as the teachers. Bring out the best. Your true potential is not confined like this. You are strong. Essentially, you are strong. You don't despair. You have got hidden strength. You have got hidden potential within you. If you are stuck, if you are not able to perform, it's all due to some temporary aberration. Like, when the clouds are there, you may not be able to see the sun, and you may feel that sun is not powerful. These all are temporary aberrations due to the clouding. So face up your problem. Not only Arjuna, all of us. Face up your problems in life. Don't be weak. Weakness has no virtue about it. So, Bhagavad Gita as a Shastram is basically equipping all of us to derive the inner strength and fearlessness in life. Fearlessness is very important. The state of fearlessness is the state of perfection. It is not the state of arrogance or rude or something. This state of fearlessness is basically the state of Sharanagati, Prabhati, and the inculcation of the right knowledge about the true self. At that point of time, there is no fearlessness. In Srimad Bhagavata, in the Ekadasha Skandha, you can see that the verses. Bhayam Dhyudiya Viniveshadasyad Ishad Abedasya Viviryayo Smriti Tanmayayado Buddha Abhajetam Bhaktiyegayesham Gurudeva Dharma. And it continues that Avidyamano Vi Avabhadi Hidvaya Dhadurdiya Swapna Manoradho Yadha Tatkarma Sangalpa Vigalpagam Mano Budho Nirundyad Abhayam Tadasyad. Very, very profound. Bhayam Dhyudiya Viniveshadasyad. The Bhayam is always due to the Dhyudiya thinking, the duality thinking. You are different from that. Ishad Abedasya Vivaryayo Smriti. You are different from that Ishvara. This is the Viparita Jnana. And again, it is due to the Maya. It is due to the influence of Maya. With the deep surrender, with the right satsangam, with the right association, you bridge this. So that you become, or you reach to the state of, what is that? Fearlessness. And again, the problem, as I mentioned, the Maya and Avidyamanovi Avabhadi Hidvaya. Again, due to the avidya, due to the ignorance, this dvaya chinda is coming. And what is the way to take abhayam tadasyad? Budho nirundyad abhayam tadasyad. Take refuge in that Lord. Bhayam is caused due to the viparita drishti, due to the avidya, due to the ignorance. Take refuge in that. So all those clutter or confusions will go. Take the refuge in that higher reality, the Lord. Then the strength from inner will start flowing. That is a state of fearlessness and compassion. So this is the total human development and fulfillment journey. That is what Bhagavad Gita is giving to all of us. So we'll also start with the Arjuna Uvaja and stop here. Kadam Arjuna Uvaja Kadam Bhishmamaham Sanghe Dronam Jamadusudana Ishu Viprediyotyami Pujarha Varisudana Kadam Bhishmam Aham Sanghe Dronam Jamadusudana Ishu Viprediyotyami Puja Arhau Arisudana Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum haikshamabiha loke hatvartha kamamstu guru nihaiva punjiya bhogan rudira pradigdhan. So Arjuna now slightly mellow down, but again expressing his concerns. Hey Krishna, how will I fight this battle? Fighting with arrows against whom? Bhishma, Drona, who are worthy to worship. It is not a fear and all, Arjuna. It is my sheer compassion. Sheer compassion and adhering to Dharma. How will I kill them? What will I do? I mean, they are of high respect, great respect and reverence to me. How will I fight? So now the one story comes to my mind. In the Gurukulam, one Shishya was staying with the Guru. Okay. And one day the Guru was sleeping, taking a nap in the afternoon. And at that time, a fly, okay, came and sat on Guru's face. I have to protect my Guru, right? Because the fly will create some problems. What to do? He took a big stone and killed the fly. And in that process, what happened? It hurt the Guru's face badly. So a damage was created. Why I told this story, you may feel that what is the relevance here. We have to understand both Bhishma and Drona, though they know they are doing wrong, they are under the obligation with Duryodhana. Correct? Due to that obligation, acting like we have not seen and that sort of a scenario are there. And Arjuna also knows that, right? They may not act against me of their own. So what is dharmic here? Though they know that they are wrong, but due to that obligation, sided with Duryodhana, and they are now doing injustice, adharma. And Arjuna used a term here, hey Madhusudana, in your case is different because you destroyed enemies and demons. But here it is slightly different, boss. It is slightly different here. So, what is important, what is meaningful to me is basically, better don't fight. Rather than killing these great and worthy souls, And again, if I kill them and get some pleasure, wouldn't be tainted or stained or corrupted. Right? So this is again a guru hatva, not killing he gurun ahatva, right? Mahanubhavan. And it is wiser to do begging rather than killing these esteemed people, no? So I don't want to enjoy those pleasures, because those pleasures will be stained, corrupted. We'll go through the subsequent verses 2:6 to 10, and the real flow of wisdom starts from the 2:11. Adishankara Bhagavad Padar started the commentary from 2:11. Right, the Gita wisdom starts from there, but Bhagavan spoke in the two verses here, second verse and the third. It is very important, because this is basically the right association in everyone's life matter. If you are in a problem, one should also throw a creative criticism, right? And also see the value and uplift. That is what Bhagavan Krishna, as a friend, as a guru, as a Lord, doing with Arjuna here. So satsangam is always important in our life. Association with the right people who will help us to show the direction, who will help us to throw constructive criticism, and at the same day admire the capabilities and say that just to get up and fly. This is very much needed for all of us. So Bhagavan Krishna, basically in these two verses, the hammering, the positive hammering and the negative hammering and the positive hammering is doing here. And this is basically a very, these two verses are big advice for all of us. When we are confused and we are not doing our job, when we are not acting in the way that we are, right? If we are deviating from dharma, we should also have right associations in life. And when you say right association, seek that clarity from the God who is always there with us. As Srimad Bhagavata says, Bhagavan Sarva Bhudanam Adhyakshu Avasthido Guham. In every prani sitting as the Adhyaksha, as the master. That master will guide you, provided you have the blessings and you have taken refuge. And that master will also show the triggers around you as your friends or family or your mentors, who will help in your upliftment. With that, we will stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyade Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Kayena Vaja Manasendriya Buddhyatmana va Prakriti Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sagalam Parasmai Narayana Yedi Samarpayami Sarvam Narayana Yedi Samarpayami. Om